afternoon and welcome back to My Harlem Portraits, the show that wants to shed a light on the fundamental contribution of African Americans to the building of this country and to Black excellence. This week, we have with us a jazz performer with the essence of excellence, Mrs. Mary Stallings. Thank you for being here with us.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation.
I'm so thrilled you're here because you are starting this week from December 9th to December 12th, your performance at the iconic and fabulous Dizzy's Jazz Club at Lincoln Center. So please tell us about this concert, the band you're going to play with, and the type of music that you're going to give our viewers and the spectators that will come to Lincoln Center.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in first place, I'm a jazz vocalist and privileged to be able to come back to work at Dizzy's since the pandemic. It's been, kind of a shutdown for us, but I'm excited to come back. And I'll be working with Emmet Cohen Trio, which is a young trio that's really on the rise, doing wonderful things, the new generation of jazz musicians. So I'll be performing with him and looking forward to it. Dizzy's is a great room, great sound, great people who come, to support the arts, and just looking forward to, the return, because it's been about 2 years since, yeah, that a lot of us have been working. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be, just looking forward to giving a lot of new material that I have put together, and I have some oldies, some new, new music. So, but it's all in the same contents of jazz music.
Wonderful. So they will hear some of your classics and then some of the new music that you've been recording. So that is perfect.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So it's a good variety. And some, like I said, some classic standards, and then there will be some very new material that has been written. So first time presented. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh yeah. So
I'm excited. I'll be there on Friday. That's beautiful.
Great.
So I want to go back to December 2011, because at that point, you perform at the Prague National Theatre in the Czech Republic. And that was the very first time that any jazz artist had been invited to appear, because that's the home, it's like the Scala in Milano, okay? It's the iconic home of classical opera and ballet. And it's never happened before since it was built in 1881. So tell me about that experience, because it must have been pretty amazing.
It was very grand, very grand. And when you step into the arena, you feel the energy of what came before. It was just incredible. And we still talk, my pianist I took with me, and we still talk about it now with such a great feeling in there. And I was scheduled actually to do an hour show. And what happened that we were so overwhelmed with the energy of it, I ended up doing 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
And didn't feel like it. It was just such a highly spiritual experience. And and they didn't even stop me, and I didn't even know, because I was just kept going. It was just, so energized. But it was just I was so impressed by being the first artist outside of the classics too. and well received. The audience was just incredible.
They
Incredible.
must have had such an amazing experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, they really, you know, helped us to keep going. We didn't stop, you know, they wouldn't stop because it didn't seem like it was that long, but we, you know, just started sort of doing the trio, the whole trio, just my pianist and I started just doing, you know, impromptu music, and it was just incredible. And they were just, after they just went crazy, the audience went, you know, gave us our props. They-
I believe that must be amazing. I remember a concert like that, not for the length, but for the when Nina Simone, she performed for the first time. It was her first performance back in the States after she had been really ostracized
Right.
in Europe, right?
Yeah.
And it was at Lincoln Center, actually, at the theater. And I remember she was nearly in tears,
Yeah.
and everybody was, it was the most emotional concert I've been to. So
That's
when you talked about that, about your concert, that's what it reminded me of.
absolutely.
It's an
And-
experience that they will never forget.
Oh, yes. Well, we don't actually, the artists, we never forget. And, you know, there are people, and actually there are people too that correspond back and forth with my pianist, not me so much, but yeah, it was just amazing. Yeah.
And Prague is such an amazing city.
Oh, it's incredible. First experience in that part of the world. So that was, yeah, awesome.
One of the most beautiful cities.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of concerts going on in that area now.
Yes, yes, they love jazz.
Yeah.
Europe loves jazz.
Oh, yes.
We love jazz.
Yeah.
I'm
And great
Italian.
musicians too. Great musicians in that area.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
So now I'm going back to you and your beginning. You were born and raised in San Francisco, the middle child of 11 siblings, and started performing professionally even before you were 10 years old with your mother and two of your older sisters in a family gospel group. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, well, I started, very, very early. Prior to my sister working, singing with my sisters, I had launched, we kind of launched a program for myself when I was about 7.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
yeah, so I started singing, you know, in the church
Mhm.
area, around, you know, the different programs. Um, and then I emerged, I guess, a couple years later with my sisters. And my mother didn't sing with us. She just was a director. My mother was a fine singer in her own right, and never launched a career with all the children. So, yeah, but she kind of groomed us, and you know, we spent a lot of time doing, you know, secular music, and up and down the coast of San Francisco area. And then I guess as my sisters got older, they started going with having boyfriends and getting married and everything. So I had started my own career, I guess, through school. You know,
Wow.
through my actually junior high school, I started really performing. You know, with the school had a system where we go to different hospitals and all. So I started working in that way, and just music all around. You know, it was just interesting time.
Because your family is a musical family. I mean, even your uncle is a tenor saxophonist and a band leader, Orlando Stallings. And
Yeah.
you're also working with him, right?
Yes, I did. Actually, when I was, and I'm going back a little, when I was 10 years old, he used to come to the house and rehearse with the band. He had a big band, And a lot of the musicians that was with Lionel Hampton, a lot of the big
Oh,
bands
yeah.
they did in my area. And when they took vacations, they'd come and perform with my uncle. And so they come to my house to practice. And when I was 10 years old, I used to be on the go in the room and listen to them. But then I started kind of singing along with them,
Wow.
and it was amazing. And I guess when I was about 11 years old, my uncle actually gave me a gig where and I worked, I did one show with him. So, and it was just ongoing,
You loved it, I imagine.
oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, that's when I started, really focusing on jazz,
Mhm.
working with his band. So it was just a very, very grand experience. Very grand experience.
So from being immersed in jazz from when you were born, really, your career got off to a very early start in the late 50s, and you were performing with some really great artists like Ben Webster, Carl Chader, Earl Hines, Red Mitchell, Teddy Edwards, and the Montgomery Brothers. Tell me a little bit about this part of your life.
That part of my life, I was about, actually, everything took place so quickly. I was about 15, 16 when all this started happening. Actually, I worked with a band leader by the name of Buddy Hiles out of Detroit. And the rumor was that he was a child of Fats Waller, but he looked just like Fats Waller. Yeah, that was my first and experience, and had a lot of the names of great fine names of musicians that from the area who was in that band. And through that, I just started meeting so many musicians, and my name started getting out there at a very young age, and the guys really embraced me and took me in like that was their kid, because I was the kid singer.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I was thrown in the company of, like you say, a lot of great musicians that came a little later, like I was 17, 18, when I really started really meeting the real great names of musicians. And how that happened, I used to go down to a club in San Francisco that was very, very popular, Black Hawk, and I would go in on Sundays and they had the jam sessions. And so I'd meet anybody and everybody who came to town, and they always end up taking to me. And I say this because as my music started progressing, my name was getting among the guys, the musicians, the older musicians, and who had really great respect for me and helped me a lot. So when I'd come around, they'd know this little girl, Mary Stallings, is up and coming vocalist. So we're going to work with her. So I got a lot of help from a lot of guys and introduced, because the years I went with, I'm going a little further on, the years that I started, that I met Dizzy Gillespie, and he kind of took me under his wing. And through that, I had a chance to work. This is much later, though, it's about in the 20s that I got a chance to work with him. And then I did the Monterey Jazz Festival. And right after that, just as I finished the day, I got a telephone call the very next day to go on the road with Billy Eckstein. Billy Eckstein, and they called me, and everything was so, right together that that you meet one person and you meet another. Then after I finished with working with Billy Eckstein, I just stayed with him a year, doing the Nevada circus. I got a call to work with Count Basie.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and just
Not Count Basie, Miley. Oh yes, I did. Right.
yeah.
But the last residency with Count Basie Orchestra on top of it.
Absolutely. Earlier than that, I'd had a chance to work with Father Hines too. I worked with his band. That was prior. but it was just ongoing, you know. People, if you're serious about what you're doing and you take great pride in what you do,
Mhm.
you'll get a lot of help. And it's been an ongoing situation that it's been wonderful for me. I've enjoyed it, and I'm enjoying this new generation coming up too. That with the Emmet Cohen Trio, with the Emmet Cohen and his group, I'm looking at these young people and I say, God, they're going to be, they're the future, you know. So you know, still out here working with some of the ones that are going to be the great ones and the history to come. Yeah.
So you work with the great ones from the past and some still here, and you're working with the future great ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic, right? That's
Yes.
beautiful. So, and the Count Basie Orchestra, it was between 69 and 72, right?
Yes, it was.
And you had really this very successful 3 years. And I mean, between Dizzy Gillespie Band, the Count Basie Orchestra, and then you shared the bill with some other icons like Tony Bennett and Ella Fitzgerald.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, Ella was wonderful. Both of them were wonderful. But I remember one night, this is a personal story that Tony, I had a beautiful gown that I had designed for me. And the next night, I mean, I wore it one night. And so the next night, Tony came and knocked on my door, the door to my, yeah. And yeah, dressing room, thank you. And said, Mary, I just wanted you to see this beautiful tie I got. He said, it was inspired by your dress that you wore last night. And I was so impressed, but I didn't know at the time that Tony was was a painter, an artist, and colors was his thing. But he actually matched almost matched that dress that I had. So that was really great. But it was a beautiful thing working with him because he was such a gentleman, such a wonderful person, really person. And Ella was just a jewel, a wonderful, such a wonderful artist. Well, First Lady, what are you gonna? Yeah, so that was a great experience too. We bonded, and it was nice to hang out with her, you know, between sets.
That must be really amazing because you really have been with all the great ones. And then after that, you had a baby?
Yeah, well, I left the business in order to start and to have a family. And so I took my time doing that and have a beautiful daughter you know, that I'm just so proud of, who ended up being an artist herself. But what's a wonderful thing, you know, being able to be home to have that privilege. Yeah. So
Fantastic. I understand. I
yeah.
understand you wanted to stay home.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a period where every woman wants to kind of do that, you know, take time out to have another part of her life or whatever.
That's right. Some people don't do it. Like I didn't have kids because I was working too much and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't have time. Yeah.
Well, there's many, but your work becomes your baby. You enjoy it.
uh, After you returned to full-time singing in the 80s, you also returned to the recording studio and you released a few volumes. Tell me about, you had an album called Spectrum in 1995, and then one with Monty Alexander as a pianist in 97. And then I want to talk about Jerry Allen later, but tell me about these two, please.
Oh, well, working with Monty Alexander was he's so dynamic, and it was just a pleasure to collaborate with him because he's so spontaneous. We didn't have to have much rehearsal for what we, for the recording. We just had, I guess, a few hours together, just kind of to get the keys together, and everything else took place on in the recording session. It just clicked. It
Wow.
was just, yeah. Well, Monty Alexander, he's so dynamic, and very spontaneous. So it just worked out very well. I'm very pleased with that project. And
That's called Manhattan Moods.
Manhattan Moods, yes, absolutely. And it was for Concord Recording, company. Mhm.
And then my favorite pianist, Jerry Allen.
Ah,
The
yeah.
late Jerry Allen. I was shocked when she
Yeah,
passed.
I was also. Yeah, when I heard it, because I was driving and it came on the radio that she had passed, and I couldn't believe it, could not believe it. But anyway, what a great artist. Another artist that, you can't say too much. I mean, you can say everything about her. There's so much you can say about her. And another very spontaneous, that project was very, very interesting. I was glad that I got a chance to do that. She agreed to do this recording with me. Because again, talking about spontaneity, as I was speaking of Monty Alexander, Jerry Allen had that same ability. I mean, you go in there and you sit down with her for maybe a few hours, and she kind of maps something out. Then when you get a chance to rehearse with it, her charts were so open that when she would just have a little chording to where you now here I'm trying to get technical, and I'm not really a technical person to explain
Not
it.
too technical.
Yeah.
When
But-
she heard that you were doing something she loved, that she just followed you, I imagine.
Oh yeah, well you just, she makes a guideline and you just have to follow it. You can hear it, and if you, I always say you have to release yourself
Yes.
you have to release yourself and really to be into the person, what they're doing. And so it was just magical. It really was magical. Yeah. So that was one project that I was very, very happy, that she agreed to work with me.
And in that project, which is called Remember Love, not only she was playing the piano and the organ, but she also did the arrangements and she produced it.
Yeah, she did. Absolutely. Yeah. Mhm.
I am so attached to her because I saw her playing in I think it was the Village Vanguard.
Wow. Mhm.
With Branford Marsalis,
Ah.
when they were both really at the beginning.
Mhm.
I didn't know who they were. I just happened to go there.
Right.
And I was also pretty young and I didn't know that much about jazz. And I went downstairs and I heard this music, and that's them, Branford Marsalis and Jerry Allen. And then it was 5 or 6 people, but I remember them, the two of them, because later on I've been following them because they were so amazing.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. You got them at the beginning of their creative abilities.
Yes.
Yeah,
And then Branford Marsalis started to play with, oh my God, the pop singer, Sting.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sting. It was incredible.
Wow. Yeah. Great time.
You participated in various jazz festivals, from the Monterey Jazz Festival to San Francisco, the Savannah Music Festival, and Jazz and Lincoln Center, the birth of the cool. Tell us 1 or 2 episodes that are particularly important or precious for you.
Well, what's always great for me is to work around great musicians, and I can remember back when I did the festival in San Francisco, at the Monterey Jazz Festival.
Mm.
Louis Armstrong was on the show, and I had a chance to meet him, and I thought, I'm in heaven now, really, after meeting all the other great musicians. But that was really, really quite an experience. Such a humble man, but a funny man, and a man was just a man of life. You can feel the energy from him, and it just went all over you,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really great. And I, of course, enjoyed the festival itself, and being able to perform, with the Dizzy Gillespie's invitation, and um, and just every festival is different. Every festival is, brings about just good energy, being around all the great musicians, because you're still gathering information for yourself, and the energy around it. It just helps escalate whatever you're doing. So it's just always, all of them have just been very, great experiences. And
Fantastic.
mhm.
In 2010, I don't know what that was, you signed an exclusive agreement with New York-based High Note Records. And the first recording, called Dream, was released in October of the same year.
Mhm.
Tell me about that, and then about the other one, the next release, Don't Look Back, in 2012.
Well, yeah, I did. I got the contract to work with High Note, and work with a fine producer, Eric Reed, who produced all three of my recordings with High Note Records. And the first one was a project that was just different kind of music. It was jazz oriented, but I did some more, I don't know what you would call it. It wasn't pop, it wasn't R&B. I guess they call it new world music,
Oh,
because
yeah.
my daughter actually wrote a couple of songs. She and her husband wrote a couple of songs. In fact, Remember Love, the title of I'm sorry, that's Jerry Allen. I'm mixing it up now. Yeah, my daughter recorded, that's right. She recorded a song with me on Dream. Yeah. And I did some of the material of hers on that particular one. And actually she recorded one song with me, but it was Eric Reed's production
Mhm.
that, produced the recording, and produced the next one, Don't Look Back, which was inspired from the trip to, gosh, I'm forgetting, the trip to,
Prague.
yeah, thank you, yes. Yeah, it was inspired by that trip. So, yeah.
It must have been amazing,
Yeah.
because I haven't listened to that. I listened to other stuff, I didn't get to that one, because the Jazz Times magazine says Stallings and Eric Reed achieving the same sort of rare, supreme simpatico as Ella and Lewis, or Sinatra and Riddle.
What a statement.
That's pretty good.
Well, it was really wonderful working with him, because he's, quite professional, and just a very exciting musician himself, artist himself. So I felt very fortunate to get a chance to collaborate with him. Yeah.
So thank you for this. We are at the end of our show. I'm very happy that you found the time to be with us. Let's remind again our viewers that you are performing this week from December 9 through December 12 at Jazz at Lincoln Center, Dizzy Jazz Club. And you have 2 sets every night, right?
That's right. And Sunday will be just one set.
And Sunday, just one
Yeah.
set. So if you want to see and hear Mary Stallings at This Is Just Club, get the tickets, go online, go to This Is Just Club, get the tickets and go and hear this beautiful group. I will be there on Friday.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being with us, and thank you for our viewers. See you next Saturday, 12:30. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.